Hello viewers, we're back with the Lakewood HV-21. I have successfully rewired in the thermostat, so that is all ready to go. In this clip we're going to be, well, not really a clip, it's probably going to be a full-length production. We're going to be opening up the motor, lubricating the bearings, and cleaning out the windings. So, first thing we're going to do is open the front of the thing here. Take off these 4 screws around the motor. And before I pull this off, I am going to clean the shaft because it's quite dirty. And if you don't clean the shaft and you pull the bearing off, you get the bearing all jumped up. Some hair on there. No, it's not mine because I've never used this fan. And I'm going to put a little bit of, actually in this case, I want to use detergent oil just to wash this off. I don't want that to go into the bearings. Not that it's going to damage them, but just to wash this off a little bit, we'll use that. And most of that junk is off of there now, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. And that came off pretty easily. Now, there's an interesting situation going on with this fan and the oil ports. There is an oil port on the back of the motor. It looks like it was drilled in by somebody. Now I'm seeing here there's almost like a provision for an oil port there. So that's pretty strange. I'm not sure if this fan would have had oil ports or not. Alright, let's pull this out. Wow, that's a heavy rotor. Very heavy. Okay. Let's see here. I am going to pull the windings out completely. I'm going to pull the thermostat off first, because I don't want it to end up flexing the wires too much. I can't get the knob off because my hand is all slick because of the stinking oil. Okay, you know what, we're going to have to just do it like this. Now the tools are going to get slick. I hate when the tools get slick. Pull it off from this side. Oh no, is that not gonna... Oh, don't have to do that, because I can just pull the wires off. Forgot about that. And I shouldn't have forgotten about it, because I just repaired it a few minutes ago. Good grief. Okay. Yeah, the switch I'll just leave in place, doesn't really matter. And now I'll lift this up and out. Oh, the capacitor is holding it in. I gotta get the capacitor off. Come on, capacitor. Okay. There we go, that's what I wanted. Now I can clean this and get all that dust and airflow prohibiting accumulation off the windings. Wish there was a way to just stand this up. walking on thin ice, flexing these wires so much. Alright. Oh, hey, I got the vacuum. Okay, I got the vacuum, and I happen to have the kilowatt meter out, so I plugged it into there. And just out of curiosity, let's see how much power a vacuum draws. 7.3 amps. Have another telephone interrupted the video. Okay, so this is clean now. I don't like that the paper wrappings are coming off, but I suppose that's not really an issue. Alright. So now we're going to what is that? It's a speck of dust, I guess. That bearing seems well lubricated, which is good. We're going to lubricate it some more. So I want to just get this, let's do this first. I'm going to put blue, not black, blue, non-detergent oil. Nope, maybe not. Okay. We're going to put a couple drops of non-detergent oil in here. Okay. And now I'm going to set this back in place, because I don't like having this out and moving around freely. Now I do foresee one problem, and that is that this, I don't think you can see it on the video, but there's a little bit of a tab here that I thought maybe that would come off and start hitting the rotor, so I just took that off. Now I think before these wires went underneath there, and I find that kind of dumb because that's just going to inhibit airflow. So I'm going to not do that, and I'm going to, oh actually, you know what, I know why they did that. They did that to keep the wires out of the blade. We're going to have to put it back that way, as much as I think it's dumb. Or wait a minute, let me check something first. Perhaps if this is on, yeah, that makes some difference. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to I guess the easiest and probably most practical thing to do is to just put it back the way it was. I believe it was just like that, which again I don't like because there's a lot of wires right up against the windings, which is not brilliant, but that's how it wants to be. I guess that's how it'll be. I can see marks in the wires from where it was sitting, and actually it looks like, yeah, that would have gotten kind of warm at some point. Whatever, that's how they want it. That's how it's been running. And back that way it will go. And that's as much time as I'm going to devote in this film to that. So, at this point, I'm going to, I don't leave the capacitor floating around for a moment. Make sure nothing is crimped in here. Alright, so now we're going to prepare the shaft. Excuse me. It's kind of dirty in there. We'll vacuum this out too. I gotta be careful not to vacuum the bushings though. Oh, actually, hold on. This is a perfect example of what happens when you use detergent oil in fans. All this gummed up junk around the edge here is oil. It's detergent oil, and this is what happens. It turns to like a very thin grease type material after a while, and it ceases being productive in the bearings. And non-detergent oil does not do that, and that is why you want to use non-detergent oils in fans, because you can see it's left like a coating of junk on here, and we don't want that. And so in fact, I'm gonna see not much cleaning I can really do with that bearing, so we're just gonna have to leave that alone. Anyways, let me finish cleaning this. Okay. Oh, I forgot to do the other side. Okay, I'm gonna have to get my brush washed after this. Okay, so this is looking pretty good now. This is quite clean. And now, let's see here. You know, the bearings, they do have a notable amount of accumulation of dried up solidified lubricant in here. So we're going to have to clean these out, and I didn't really want to do that to the rear bearing because it's just a nuisance to do, but probably should happen. So you risk getting dust in here now, which is another annoyance. Alright, that's good enough. We'll leave it there for now. So, I'm going to put some oil on the shaft here. A copious amount because it's got nowhere to leak out. And I'll stick this back in. And that is spinning quite nicely. You can see it's really freed up now that it has the correct kind of lubricant in there. And the same will be the case when I put this front cover on. Going to put some oil inside of here itself. And I'll put some on the shaft. I don't want to put too much on this shaft because it can come out and get on the blade and then get everywhere in your room that you're using it, and that's just not good. Okay, and see, this spins quite freely. Now, of course, this is not going to spin too freely because it's not aligned yet. We'll take care of that momentarily. I'm not going to wipe the oil off of the shaft. Actually, I want to leave that there for now. So what we got to do next, well, it appears like this whole thing is kind of loose. So I'm going to tighten this whole mechanism up first with these 4 screws around the outside. Oh yeah, that was significantly loose. Okay. That's better. And now these four bolts around the motor can go back in. And we're not going to tighten these all the way. We're just going to make them relatively snug. And these bolts are important to tighten correctly because it's important to make sure they're aligned as well, and clearly they're not for some reason. Is that threading? Yes. So I'm just going to put all these in, and I'm going to go not tight. I'm going to go about 2 fingers tight, so whatever you can do comfortably like this. And I do try to use the across pattern as much as possible, similar to the way you'd put a tire on a vehicle. You want to make them as even as you can. And now, it's probably not going to be aligned. Sometimes it will be. That's actually not too far off. What you want to do is take a rubber handle screwdriver, and you want to just kind of bang the shaft around a little bit. Not aggressively, just a little bit. And that will get it into alignment. You can see now is spinning quite freely. Okay, that looks to be pretty well aligned. I'm going to tilt this back and let a couple drops of oil roll into the front bearing. And it's important that you don't put too much oil on it this way, because the oil will come out and get on the blade and fly everywhere, and nobody wants that. So now I'm going to put the capacitor back into place. Let that oil continue to seep in. Okay, and I'll redo the connections up here for the thermostat. And I'm going to wipe the excess oil off of the bearing here. Should we get all that out of there? And now we're going to give it a test run. And we shouldn't have any oil flying out at this point. Okay, good. Alright, so now all that's left is to get the blade back on. Now before I put the blade back on, I'm going to take a very small amount of oil, like this, and I'm going to put it on the shaft, just to help prevent rust, and it makes it easier to get the blade on and off next time it needs to be serviced. And here's the blade. The other thing I'm going to do with the blade is I'm going to put a drop of oil inside where the Allen screw goes, also to prevent rust and make it easier to service when the next time comes around. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit more oil, put it inside here, it's probably a hair too much actually, and now very important to put this on so that the screw aligns with the flat part on the shaft. And what I like to do is screw it in and when it hits the back there, pull it forward just a hair and tighten it. Doesn't have to be that tight because the centrifugal force, or not centrifugal force, whatever kind of force is acting on it, is going to push it towards the motor. So it's not going to come off. If this was a fan that blew air this way towards the motor, then you'd want to be concerned about that, you know, if this was a reversible fan, you want to be concerned about that being tight. But this, in this instance, it does not need to be overly tight at all. And this is why we use the correct lubrication in the fan. See, this spins down a lot longer now with the proper lubrication. I can't really get a good feel on how tight this is because I don't have my typical Allen key contraption. So I'm just going to snug it up a little bit with the pliers. That's it. Alright. I have a feeling this is going to run a lot faster on low now. I am going to take a break to wash my hands before I use the screwdriver to get the bolts back on the guard, and then we'll give it a test run. Alright, let's get the guard on. Yes, the blade needs to be cosmetically cleaned, but today just wanted to do the mechanics of this thing, and then when additional time presents itself, I will go around and clean it from a cosmetic standpoint, but at least now it is usable. And I'm almost certain now that these screws are not original, which is kind of a bummer, but Oh well. Probably could find ones that look more original than this. Okay, we are ready to turn this thing on and watch everything in the room go flying and turn into a mess, especially all these cloths I have over here. Alright, hopefully this will be out of the camera wind stream. I want to record it from over here. Well, yeah, because there's more things that can blow away over there. Move the camera. And I realize the lighting isn't the greatest in this angle, but this is what we have to work with. Okay, here we go. Plug it in. Actually, I'll plug it in over here and we'll look at the kilowatts. Oops. Okay, turn the thermostat on, and I'll start off on low. Sounds so much healthier now, and it gets right up to speed on low. Definitely running faster than it was before. Very cool. This thing was an unbelievable amount of air. Okay, we'll go to medium. Actually, I'll cut it off on the thermostat first. Let it spin down, we'll start it back up on the thermostat. Okay, there we go. We'll have to capture that startup sound too. Alright, we'll go to medium now. And full power. Yeah, box is blowing over. Oh, there goes the camera. It's a full-size bath towel. Oh jeez, there goes all the boxes. Oh, that made a mess of my storage pile over here. And it got stuff all in my eye. I don't think I'm going to run this down here in the shop anymore. This thing is insane. I can't believe how much air that moves. Alright, well, I gotta get that startup sound. How are we gonna do that? Well, I guess we've already made a mess, so it doesn't make much of a difference now. Take this over here on the floor, and I'll record it down here. Now this thermostat doesn't go very high because it's about 72, 74 degrees in here, and that's about as warm as it goes. So anyways, we'll go to low and cut the thermostat on. Okay, I gotta move these papers for the multimeter. We're gonna lose every single one of them. Probably gonna lose these things too. Alright, now we'll do medium. Okay, on medium, that just blew over a telephone. And full power. Alright, that's going to conclude this video of the servicing for the Lakewood HV-21. This is probably the most powerful fan I have in my collection. Thank you for watching. Comment, subscribe, and out.